Let's play some hockey tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Hey, it's Hockey Day in Canada. Well, actually, it's down in Tampa Bay. If you don't already know it, the Montreal Canadiens are playing the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, 8 o'clock. And I brought two guests on that know everything you want to know about the Montreal Canadiens. I wanted to make it a Montreal Canadian heavy show because I want Montreal to win, and I've said in 6. So these guys will come up and tell you a bunch of stuff, but just listen to me. I'm your man. I'm your host for today's show, Gouche Live, brought to you by those good people at the Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated. Call me Gouche and call this guy the Flying Frenchman.
Yes, hey, baby.
Hey, Sebastian. Oh, no, you're Francois, the Flying Frenchman. Hey, and you know what? Now I got the man of the world to join us. He's a big Montreal Canadian fan. It's not Jordan. Jordan's going to come at the end for me and bring us up to date with all the news around the hockey world. But I'm bringing this guy in. He travels the world. Here he is, a big Montreal Canadian fan. Mark Signs, what's going on?
Hi, guys. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Frank. Great to be here talking about the Habs. Big game tonight. I'm stoked.
Frank, you should be stoked because this is going to be, I think, one of the best series in a long time. I know somebody says hang on the 18th team against the first place team or close to the first place team. The favorite, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I do not believe that. I think this is going to be one of those series that the goaltenders, as we already know, and you guys are going to talk about that in a few minutes, they are going to steal the show. It's going to be the one that blinks the most. And then, go through these rosters. They're pretty cool rosters with a lot of matchups that are going to work in one team's favor. And that's what I want to hear from you. Of course, I know you guys are going to be biased, and it's all going to be Montreal. And that's why I picked you guys, because you're not going to say anything good about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Francois, in 30 seconds, tell me why the Montreal Canadiens are going to win this series.
Well, Carey Price, first of all, and Dano against Point. I think it's going to be hard for Point to have points. What a choice of words. But I think Montreal, if you looked at, the scariest part of it was against Toronto. That's where I was the more scared for Montreal. Winnipeg, I knew Montreal was going to win. I didn't think that they were going to win in 4 games, but I knew they were going to win. And against Vegas, I was sure Montreal was going to win because they covered the middle pretty well. And Vegas was all about the offensive part of the game. And, everyone said it was going to be impossible, but they made the impossible possible.
Well, Francois, you saying that you knew the Montreal Canadiens going to be the Winnipeg Jets, that's just a pile of crap. And once we lost Scheifele, it was all over. Mark, I'm coming to you, of course. These are great matchups. He mentioned Danault. Obviously, it's going to be him. I was always saying, okay, he's going to match up with Kucherov or Stamkos. No, you got to stop Lapointe. Lapointe. I think he played for the Montreal Canadiens. You got to stop Brendan Point. 9 games in a row he scored. He's on verge of being one of the greatest all-time playoff goal scorers. And they still have Kucherov, Stamkos, obviously Killorn, and Palat. But I think it's going to be how good Danault has played. And he only registered 1 point in that last series, but a very important point. But it's what he did without the puck. That was so important. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think anyone rivals him in terms of what he does on the defensive side of things, and that whole line, and whether it's Lehkonen or Evans or whoever's really in that third spot with him and Gallagher. They're seriously committed to, not that they were ever offensive juggernauts, even when Tatar played with them for a couple of years. But they'll do whatever they need to do. So I think that, that line's going to be huge no matter who that third winger is or that third line member. But honestly, the goalies, they match up pretty well. Like Frank said, obviously Carey Price has been great, but, their guy's pretty good too. They're deep as well. Like they're definitely deep as well. So I think it's just a matter of who's got it upstairs, who can mentally break through better than the other team. It's really tight to call. I mean, I say Habs in 6-2, but you never know. I mean, it's so hard to say. Kucherov's injury could be a big thing. So if he's not 100%, that's seriously going to hamper them because they rely on him so much on the power play and everything. So yeah, it'll be tight. It'll be some good hockey, I think.
Well, Mark, their guy is called Andrei Vasilevsky. Listen, Conn Smythe, Carey Price, Conn Smythe, and also you got to take in consideration what points done in these playoffs. So I think those are the three that are going to end up. I'd love to even say Shea Weber if they win it, but it's going to go to Carey Price if the Montreal Canadiens get through, of course. I wanted to ask you, Francois, obviously, we talk about Philip Deneau, 3 points, all assists, and then you've got Paul Byron, who has had a pretty good playoff. As I had said earlier to John Liu, it was actually Deneau that was placed on waivers 3 times. It wasn't. It was actually Paul Byron. He has been an absolute stud for the Montreal Canadiens. And a lot of people forget, we're hearing about Stamkos, we're hearing about Kucherov, we're hearing about Suzuki, Toffoli, Caulfield. All of those guys I think are going to match each other's out. Obviously, Caulfield is one of those guys that we'll talk about in a few seconds here. But Gallagher, Shea Weber, Hedman. But I think the guys that are going to make the difference in this series is the guys that take care of the defensive zone. And I don't mean specifically defense. I mean guys that are going to be hard on the puck inside the defensive zone, and both Paul Byron and Philip Deneau have showed us that. Your thoughts on how the Montreal Canadiens are going to be able to control that middle ice zone?
Well, they will control that middle zone. That's, they've done it against Vegas very well, and that's how they got through Vegas. And they tired out Vegas. I mean, they looked extremely tired because, Montreal was built for the playoffs, and you could tell because they're finishing their checks, and most of the games they had more checks than Vegas. So I think they're going to do the same thing against Tampa. They're going to finish their checks, and Tampa's not used to playing Montreal the way that they're playing right now. So I think they're going to have a good surprise because Montreal's a little faster. They're defensemen. Their 4 top defensemen are big. I think the average is 6'3". So they're going to play a different Montreal Canadiens team that they're used to playing. And that I think is going to make a huge difference in that series. And Montreal, from day one, I remember when the Toronto game, when Montreal scored in overtime, when it was Suzuki and Caulfield that, they went in on the goalie and they scored in overtime. Everything changed by then. Yeah. Everything changed by then. So I think, that's how it's going to be.
So, Mark, I want to come to you, of course. Hey, James DeMarco, thank you for joining us. You do a great thing with your cartoons. We love you. Thanks for joining in. I want to ask you, Mark, I know you're I think you've got a tattoo, blue, red, and white somewhere. I know how much you love that team. The one person, and as you were mentioning, Francois, you thought it was that 2-on-0. I'm really thinking it was actually Jordan that brought it to my attention. I love Corey Perry. He's won it everywhere he's played. He's won, obviously, with Dallas. He came up short. But, Mark, obviously Corey Perry has been a spark plug. He's not quite as slick on his feet anymore. But I'll tell you what, this kid can dangle. And it's that win at all costs that, obviously that you saw the stick he took. He didn't whine that much, actually, which is amazing. He took it, got off, greeted everybody as they came off. But it was that Montreal-Toronto series where he kind of stepped up and said, guys, this is what it's going to take to win. That line of Perry and Stahl, and now with Armia, we've heard the Flying Frenchman has said that there's a possibility. He is in Tampa now. He may be playing. We'll find that out. It's a game-time decision. Well, how good has that line been?
Yeah, it's just the savvy. It's the veteran savvy, I think. Obviously, like you mentioned, Perry gets the high stick and does, goes bananas and no call, and that's a rallying point. He always battles. The last game against Vegas, just like pulled Marchessault's stick out of his hands and threw it away. The ref didn't see it. I mean, little things like that are just so huge in the playoffs. And so when we say this team's built for the playoffs, I mean, those are all the things that are part of it. And so Armia, I'll be honest. I mean, honestly, I didn't see. I don't know. I don't want to speak for other Habs fans, but I mean, I didn't see this in Armia. I mean, I saw a little bit of it. Obviously, he scored a couple shorthanded goals this year, but I mean, I didn't see this. I didn't see this from Byron during the season that much. So, I'm super happy and surprised a little bit that these guys have been able to elevate their games, and Armia on that line with the two older guys with Stahl and Perry has really been the perfect match. It's just that they know how to keep possession. They know how to little tricks in the corners. They know where to put their stick blade on wraparounds. They know how to finish their hits. It's just all these like little intangibles that, go a long way, and it rubs off on all the kids too. I think the kids see it. They probably talk about it in practice. And, so everyone's kind of game is elevating, and the young kids give these old guys tons of energy. I mean, you saw Dano and Caulfield in the press conference after with the pizza. I mean, little things like that. I mean, that's just like stuff that really builds your team and makes you stronger. And that's what wins in the playoffs.
And it shows a lot of confidence. There's no question. Armia, 5 goals, 3 assists for 8 points. We did not see that coming. Paul Byron, even though, he hasn't got lit it up, a couple of key overtime goals. Yeah. So you're right. I think it's that blend between the young and veteran. And of course, having Carey Price at the back, playing the way he is, it just gives you more confidence. You know that you can make a mistake and he's going to hold you on. So you're not tentative. You are actually confident, and they're all showing that. Francois, I wanted to ask you, these teams are built differently, obviously, for the playoffs. And we saw, our Bergevin, we knew that, even before the trade deadline, there was talk of him, if he doesn't do something right, he may be gone. Even, he went with Edmondson. A lot of people questioned it. Obviously went with Corey Perry. That one turned out. You got to also admit, there's a little bit of luck. Like, they've had some luck. Things have just worked out their way. Yes, you got to play hard and work hard, but there is some luck in this. Bergevin looks like an absolute stud, but we know he's had issues in picking players. He got lucky this time. Love to hear your perspective on how these two teams are different and managed differently.
Well, Tampa's been together for a long time. I mean, you've got Stamkos there. You've got a guy like Edmund. Obviously, their goalie is, they have a core that's been there for a while. So they know what to expect out of each other. As for Montreal, and Mark had a good point before. We didn't expect Byron to play that well in the playoffs, but we didn't expect Carey Price to play that well in the playoffs, because during the season it was a different kind of goalie. It was hard for Montreal during the season. Obviously, they had a good team. They have good depth, but the season was hard. They made it to. They knew they were going to make it to the playoffs, and I think they rested Carey Price in the right time. I'm not saying he was not injured, but I think the rest was very beneficial for Carey Price, and they rested some of their players as well. So yeah. I think that made a huge difference. That's making a huge difference during the playoffs. And if you recall, previously, when St. Louis won the cup, they just entered into the playoffs barely, and they won the Stanley Cup. So, third and fourth line are going to make a huge difference in this series.
Yeah, no question, Mark. Obviously, Jake Evans out with the Winnipeg series, obviously with the cheap shot from Scheifele. He now is reported to be back. What do? I know they're scheduled right now to have Jake Evans up with Corey Perry and Stahl. But if Armia's available, you're not changing that. You don't go to Evans, do you?
Well, I think if Armia is available, they have to. You have to leave that line together for sure. And I guess the only question would be then, do you put him back in for Lehkonen on with Gallagher and Dano? And honestly, how do you pull a guy out of the lineup after he scores the series-winning goal in overtime? Like, it kind of looks weird. And
John Liu said it's the most important goal in 28 years.
Yeah.
So exactly. It would be tough.
Yeah, so you can't. I mean, Evans is great, and it's awesome that he's kind of ready to come back, but I don't think you touch anything. I mean, how can you touch anything? I mean, even that third line with Kotkaniemi, Anderson, and Byron, which has been maybe a little quieter than the others, but not really. Like they've still scored some big goals too. I mean, KK scored a few, Byron scored a few, Anderson scored. They've all chipped in here and there. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Frank. I mean, what do you put Evans in, or I mean, you got to leave him out for now, right?
Yeah. I mean, if Armia is available to play tonight, I mean, just go ahead. Don't change anything. You've been winning so far.
Yeah.
And I remember when Tatar was put in the stands. A lot of people were arguing, but because he's a veteran. But I think that changed.
Everything started changing then. So I think I would leave Armia in. No, I wouldn't even think about it.
All right, guys, I want to ask you before I let you go, very important question. The deal makers. Who are the guys on each team that you're looking for right now to tonight's game? Let's just talk about tonight's game. Let's not talk about the series. They got to break these down into 3 periods. You don't look at winning the Stanley Cup in the first game. Who's the guy who are the couple of guys on each team? First, I'll go to you, Francois. Tell me who you think is going to be the studs of the night for the Montreal Canadiens and for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that would be you, Francois. I think we've lost Francois. We'll go to you, Mark. Who do you think are going to be the guys that show up tonight? Obviously, is it a Weber? Is it a Hedman? Is it any one of those fourth liners? Or is it the big boys? Are the big boys going to come to play? We don't know the extent of Kucherov. Kucherov says he's not injured, but certainly watching him play in Game 7, he didn't look the Kucherov we know, and they need him on that power play. Love to hear your thoughts. Give me 2 players on each team, other than the goalies, because we know if one of them doesn't show up, it's going to be a quick series.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously both teams being deep, it could be anyone on any night. But to me, I think for Tampa, it's got to be that second line or their 1A, 1B line of Cirelli, like Cirelli, Stamkos, and Killorn. I mean, I think Killorn's been awesome all playoffs, so I don't know. I'd look to 2 of the guys on that line. I don't know which 2, but maybe the whole line to kind of be their go-to tonight. And for the Habs, I'd probably say that line I just mentioned that's been a tad quieter is like the Anderson line. Anderson was great in Game 1 against the Leafs, and that really, even though they went down 3-1 against the Leafs, that first game by Anderson really, I think, put the fear of God into the Leafs, and said like look what this guy can do out there. Then he didn't really kind of deliver to the same level for a couple of games there, but he's definitely had a few big moments. So I'd look to the Cirelli line on Tampa, and then that Kotkaniemi, Anderson, Byron line to spark it for the Habs.
Hey, listen, Killorn's got 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points. Where are you going wrong with that?
Yeah.
Of course, he's also playing some power play time. The one guy I'm going to say, as I asked Francois, Patrick Maroon. This guy's a winner too, don't forget. And he hasn't really had any production, but he's always he's like a little, he's bigger than Gallagher, but he's kind of he reminds me of the Gallagher, just in your face, always talking, always yakking. He could be a big time performer in the games we go in this series. Francois, same question to you. Who do you think is going to be the performers for both teams tonight? I'm talking just tonight, because we'll have you back on once we know where everything lies, but who do you think is going to be there tonight?
Well, I think Montreal is going to win tonight. It's going to be a close game. Reason is very simple. They're on a roll. I mean, they have nothing to lose. Who thought Montreal would be in that situation right now? No one, besides me, of course, and maybe Mark, because he's a Montreal fan. But and I don't think it has nothing to do with having guys score or if you look at the Montreal Canadiens players, they're accountable for what they're doing, and the coach hardly says anything. So he's behind the bench, and you see after every shift, they take the iPad and they'll look at the way that they played and if they were in the right spot in the right situations and all that. So that's Ducharme. That's the way he's coaching. So Ducharme did a pretty good job in a small time to have those players accountable for either the mistakes that they're doing or the good things that they're doing. And you could tell right now, just the way that they're all coming together in the right time. They look like a hockey team, and it brings us back to, when they won the Stanley Cup last time in it's very, very similar.
Yeah.
Extremely
There's
similar.
a lot of similarities.
So,
Yeah.
All right, guys, we obviously have to do a shout out to the coaching staff, Luke Richardson, Alex Burrows, Sean Burke, of course, stepping in out of the controversy they've done. I believe they haven't got themselves in the way. I know they're coaching, but I would say that right now there's been so much distraction, obviously with Ducharme. He's going to come back for game 3 as they predict. I don't know how that's going to matter. How that's going to make a difference. What does it do? I think it's not going to make a difference because, as you say, I think these players are playing as players. They're playing as a team, and the direction of the coaching right now in the playoffs is, other than putting on the key guys at the right time, the players know what's at cost. They know what to do tonight. They know game 1's are very important. They know they gotta, if they score more than 3 goals, the Montreal Canadiens know that Carey Price is going to shut them down. So I'm going to ask you now, your prediction for tonight. I don't want the series. I already know, Mark, you're saying in 6. I've already been known to say it in 6. Francois is saying in 4 straight.
I say Habs in 6, but I think tonight Montreal is going to win. It's going to be a close game, like 3-2.
Okay. Mark?
Our friend Dan Blackburn stole my thing today when he was talking to the kids, so I'm going to say 3-1 Habs.
Okay, and I'm going to go 4-2 empty netter, Habs.
Good. I've been right so far. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah. It's easy. I can go back and film and change it. Don't you worry. Listen, guys, really, really excited to have you both on. We'll have you on by the weekend. Mark, we're actually doing on Friday night. We're going to do a watch party with the Gouche. We're going to watch the game. I'm figuring it all out. Jordan's actually probably going to be at the game or in Montreal. Love to have you on and do some stuff, and we'll just for the 3 hours be talking, and you can bring up some points, and
cool.
It'd just be a lot of fun. So I look forward to having both you guys on Friday night. Francois, make sure you have the baguettes ready.
Well, it's going to be my wife's birthday, but I'll be there.
I will sing happy birthday. We'll all sing happy birthday to her.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Gouche.
Fantastic. Always a pleasure having you guys on. Salut, les bouts. Je t'aime. There's my French. I'll tell you what, I'm really excited. Bringing Jordan up here really quickly. We got to do some updates. There's other things that are going on in the NHL outside of Montreal and Tampa Bay. Everybody knows that Jordan has picked the Montreal Canadiens in
6.
Jeez. I don't know. I think I'm starting to get a little nervous. I don't know.
Why is that?
Well, everybody's picked them in 6. I'm getting a little nervous. And, of course, tonight's going to be, I think it's show and tell. That's what I believe tonight. I think it's going to be, if Armia comes back in, you're going to see their team at full strength. I don't think they're going to bring Evans in. I don't know if you'll disagree with that. And then if you go on the other side, Point has lost that 9-game streak. Now can he build a new one up? And I think it's going to revolve around the health of Kucherov, and he's basically come in the press to say he's not injured. It wasn't an injury. Well, why did you leave Game 6, and why didn't you look stellar in Game 7? So I'm going to question that. And then it's the power play. Really quickly, give me your thoughts on tonight's game.
Yeah, I think tonight's going to be more of like a feeling out period. I mean, these teams haven't played against each other this year, so I think, especially in the first period at least, we're going to see a very no one's going to take any chances. It's going to be a dump in, forecheck, get back, that kind of game. So it might be a little slow at the start. But in terms of Braden Point, I mean, I was looking at the stats today. Kucherov has 5 goals and 22 assists. Braden Point has 14 goals and 6 assists. They play on the same line, so. If Kucherov isn't up to what he is, what he can be, Braden Point could in turn suffer from that as well. So a little interesting storyline to watch there.
Yeah, I'd like to add too, as you know, you've seen those stretch pass. Paul and I've talked about it. Paul saying Montreal in 7. That power play, when he can get that puck across with his dipsy doodles over to Stamkos for that one-timer. We saw the power play not look very effective, obviously, with the 1-0 win over the Islanders. So, and I think with the Montreal Canadiens being so intense on their penalty kill, that I think that's going to rush. I don't think a lot of people rushed the Tampa Bay as much as they're going to see with the Montreal Canadiens penalty killing. So we're hoping that Amia is there to do that. All right, other things that are going around in the National Hockey League right now. I know there's a very sad story.
Yeah, it's out of Boston. David Pastrnak and his girlfriend had a baby. I believe it was the 21st or just before that. And we found out on the 24th that after 6 days, the child had actually passed away. So, I mean, we're going to send all our thoughts to Boston and Pastrnak and the Bruins family.
Yes, of course. Our condolences to both him and his girlfriend, of course, as you say, to the Boston family, and all of hockey, I know, will be doing the same. What else is going on there?
It's on the wire. I mean, a little cool fact, Patrick Maroon has a chance to win 3 Stanley Cups in a row with 2 different teams. But I think everyone's just kind of getting ready for it tonight. Just one little tidbit out of Toronto, I guess. Wayne Simmons is looking at renegotiating his deal with Toronto. Both sides are very interested. So expect that to be done in the next few days or even week.
Well, that's exciting. Hey, listen, we're getting ready to announce our change for the summer. Of course, the playoffs were going to be really exciting. But one of the cool things that are going to go on Friday night is Gouche Watch Party. We're going to do a watch party. I know I've heard rumors that you're going to be in the building or close to the building in Montreal with your buddy. And Stephen Ellis from the Hockey News has just confirmed he's going to be there, and we'll get him on a Monday, and we'll be talking to him. But Friday night, if you're around at 8 o'clock, come and join us. We're going to be sitting here watching on the big screen TV. I'm going to have a bunch of guys come in. Dennis Root's going to show up, trying to get Gary Leeman, just a bunch of guys. Paul will join in, and we'll just talk as the game's going on. For all those people, especially out in Australia, we'll be telling you exactly what's going on. If you can't see the game, we'll be kind of your color commentators as they bring you the game. That would be Game 3, the first game in Montreal in this situation since 1993, 28 years ago.
That's crazy. I mean, at least top it, but
absolutely. Well, I don't think any other Canadians won since then. Oh no, there hasn't been since 1993, 28 years ago. All right, Jordan, thank you for popping up and always, keeping us in check. And of course, loved that I had Mark and Francois on. Let's see how Game 1 goes. I think it's going to be an exciting game. I think you're right. First period, everybody's playing each other out. And then we'll see who is hurt, who isn't in the lineup, see what that does. And the 2 goaltenders are going to be stellar. And we're going to be on with you tomorrow. Don't forget at lunch with Gouche and Friends. And we are also going to be live at the Bottom Line on Thursday, bringing you lunch with Gouche Live. And we're actually going to get chicken wings this time. We're inside the building, and we've been promised chicken wings. So join us, please, on that. And, of course, tomorrow, the Rosen Report at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check it out. All right. Thank you for joining Gouche Live. We will see you tonight. We'll be watching with you guys. Montreal versus Tampa Bay. Who do you got? Brought to you by the good people of the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. Good night.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gooch. Brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.